So here we are with our magic mind map again. And let me just review a little bit. There's 3 levels of mind that this talks about, and this is the basic metaphysics of A Course in Miracles. And it's really helpful to see it depicted. I'm a visual learner, so it's been really helpful to me. So God mind, which is where we all still are and have never left. Reality, God and Christ is one. Then we have a dreamer. The dreamer had the tiny mad idea of saying, what if I could be separate? What if I could be on my own? And falling into the rabbit hole of this dream, it finds it has 2 thoughts. And it's part of, these 2 thoughts are part of it. So it has the wrong-minded thought, which says, ooh, the separation really happened. I'm guilty. I'm sinful. God is out to get me. I have to run away into the world. And the right-minded thought says, nothing happened. It's just a dream, period. So down here, we think that we're bodies in the world. These forms get projected out as bodies. The body is a separation of, is a symbol of separation. My body is separate from those bodies over there. And as we progress, we're trying to get out of this prison of mindlessness, which is what the world is. So the ego is brilliantly set it all up so that we just think it's totally real. We have thousands upon thousands of books and studies, scientific studies that show us this causes this and this came from this and so on and so forth. So it's all real, all true, and we have pain. Oh, our bodies can feel so much pain, emotional and physical pain that tell us the bodies are real in all of the situations in our lives. So it's only when this suffering gets to be too intense, the Course says that there's a limit on how much suffering we can stand, then we say, oh, help. So that little asking for help puts us in touch with our own right mind, and then we get from this what the Course describes the miracle as a change in a shift in perception. So that's what this is all about. And I thought that I would focus today especially on metaphors. A metaphor is itself a little map. A metaphor takes us from horizontal thinking of this happened and this happened and this happened and this is going to happen, and it shifts us vertically where we go, we can see things in a bigger perspective. One metaphor is very familiar to us from either our cameras or our computers, is zooming in and zooming out. So the first projection into the world is a zooming in, and everything is up close and it's real and it's difficult and it's confusing and it's fear producing and this conflict, and we're just in the battlefield, on the battleground down here, and totally caught. So the metaphor, the miracle, helps us to zoom out, get a bigger picture, and see what's really going on. So I have a list of, there's infinite numbers of metaphors. First of all, you have the basic metaphor of there being a journey and a map for the journey, and an orientation in our thinking. So our work really is not to be transported from here to here, because we've never left here. But it's to go back here, look at what we've been projecting, realizing we have a choice, and seeing it differently, and letting that misperception be corrected. So we don't have to give up being persons in the world. But that's the threat, or that's what the ego says is the threat. It says, don't you go over here or you'll be annihilated. So we're very resistant, very fearful, and we go very, very slowly, and I call it enlightenment by dimmer switch. So let's see. This is a little line from Kenneth Wapnick. The ego's thought system is a rotten apple. That would be over here. We don't seek to heal or fix the apple. We toss it away and choose the good apple of the Holy Spirit. So that's an easy metaphor to look at the choice. So I thought of one years ago of the pitching machine. So you want to practice batting, you have this pitching machine that throws. So the ego has a pitching machine that throws these balls of guilt. Well, I don't want that ball of guilt to hit me, so I'm going to swing at it and swing at it and swing at it and blame this person and that person in this situation and that situation. So becoming right-minded, you become to realize I don't have to swing at every ball of guilt that shows up. I don't have to swing at it. So that's one little sports metaphor in there. The ego is a master hypnotist. So this is really self-hypnosis. Under its influence, we have been told we are sinful, guilty, and unworthy, that we can only survive by attacking and stealing from others, that they are attacking and stealing from us. The voice of love in the right mind gently counters these commands by reminding us who we really are, that we are simply dreaming. Then I was thinking of one recently of the black box, the so-called black box, which isn't black at all, but data retrieval device from an airplane that has crashed. So here's the crashed airplane, like the Lost series, the Lost TV series. We've crashed, okay. And but we have to find out what caused the crash. We have to go into the black box over here, which is the wrong mind, and we have to look and see what's going on. And the ego says, never look back here. It says, no, you haven't crashed. This is a wonderful world. You're going to have so much fun. I know it's kind of difficult right now, but in a little while, you'll get a new job, a new relationship, you'll get more money in the bank, you'll travel someplace better, you'll move someplace better. And so we always think around the corner, there's something. So we have the ego's motto of look, seek, but do not find. We will never find what we think we want in form. So, but looking in the black box takes a certain amount of courage, but we have a presence of love in the right mind that will help us look. And what's really important is looking without judging. It's just a dream that I've been dreaming. It's just a program. If you think of the black box as having a transmitter in it, that transmitter is constantly saying, guilty, guilty, guilty. Find someone else to blame. Guilty, guilty. I have needs. I feel empty. I feel scarcity, and I need someone to meet my needs. And so I look at the figures that are in the world, and I'm going to try and seduce them or manipulate them to fill up my needs. But I also have the transmitter is also saying, never enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. You need to find something better. You need to find someone better. And so no matter how wonderful it may seem momentarily between two people in a relationship, ultimately that transmitter is going to get through and it's going to say, you could do a little better than this. They used to be so whatever, they've changed. My needs are not being met. This isn't working for me. I need to move on. So, and that's happening on both sides there. So, then another of my favorite metaphors is that of the dreamer being a giant child. And the giant child is playing with action figures in a sandbox. Okay? So, if you remember being a child playing with all your action figures, whatever they were, my son was a little boy in the 70s, and so his action figures were all Star Wars. And when I was a child, I had a dollhouse too. But when the child is playing, the child speaks for each of the characters. There's just one child pretending that all these action figures here are itself. It speaks for each of us. And each of us thinks we're the center, we're the most important one, we're the hero. Each of us is the hero of our own dream, and other people just kind of orbit around us. So here, mother's calling, hey, honey, come home, come home. It's time for supper. And you kind of blot out mom's voice because I want to play a little bit longer. I want to do this a little bit more. And if you're addicted to anything, like sports, or addicted to something you're binging on, watching TV shows or whatever, well, just one more. Or especially, I play various kinds of solitaire or computer games. And after I finish one, well, I want to go on to the next one. And I want to go on to the next one. And I want to go on to the next one. And so everybody in some form has that desire to stay here. It's comfortable here. Maybe it's not all that great, but it's familiar. Our worlds are familiar. Our bodies are familiar. Our particular personal issues are familiar. Do I really want to go back onto this oneness and lose my me? I don't want to give up my me. My me is precious. So that's why we have so much resistance. One of the symbols that I really like, that's you can just carry around in your head for any situation, is a good metaphor. So think of your right-minded thought system as a fist. It's closed, it's possibly angry, it's threatening, it's don't mess with me, it's contracted, it's tight, it's suspicious, it's potentially violent, it could get angry.
That's the wrong-minded.
Is there any question?
I thought you might have said right-minded when you got started.
No.
I wanted to make sure I was clear on this. Okay. I heard
This is over here, fist. Okay. Fist and the open mind. This is a hand of blessing. It's a hand of generosity. And also for those who look at the energy systems of the chakras, there are little chakras in the palm of the hand that correlate to the heart. So, and this is open, it's not contracted, it's open to give, it's open to receive, it's open to shake hands, it's open to welcome. And it's just, you can just use your own hands. Which thought system am I in right now? When I'm judging somebody, I think my fist is probably. So, what? Right. It's like we want God to smite all of our enemies. Okay, another one is the world is a giant window shade. This down here is a window shade over the light of our true selves. And forgiveness thins the shade. So a little bit of light can start coming through your window shade of your life. And our function then is to really become translucent. Ultimately, we're going to remember that we are the window, and then ultimately, we're going to remember we are the light. I am the light of the world, as one of the workbook lessons says. But see, another metaphor is that of Velcro and Teflon. So the ego is very sticky, and we get stuck on our judgments, stuck on our anxieties. Those thoughts stick, our fears, our looking out in the world and feeling in danger. And then our memories and grievances. They shouldn't have said that. You play the same old scripts over and over and over, and they get really stuck. And when you even learning to look at that and you become more right-minded, your mind starts to become more Teflon. And so those things that used to stick and really grab hold of you then start to slide away. They won't stick, or they won't stick as long. So becoming right-minded is you're becoming Teflon. In terms of special relationships, two of my favorites were given by course teacher Bob Draper. One is the bull and the matador. So you think about your family, you think about your workplace, people you know. There's certain people that you lock horns with on a regular basis, even in your mind, if you just think about them. I'm right and they're wrong, and no. So you always have a choice at any moment. First of all, you realize you have to recognize the locking horns. You have that awareness. You've gone vertical, so you have that awareness. This is what's going on in this situation. And then you have a choice of becoming the matador. And you use your cape of kindness and let that energy of conflict just go on through. You may just smile at the other person. You just don't engage. You don't do the locking of horns that you normally do. Even if you just keep your mouth shut, that can be a using the cape and being the matador. Keeping your mouth shut is a way of, instead of coming back with your normal arguments or whatever with another person. And then another of his for special relationships is becoming a wallflower on the dance floor of hate. So the dance floor of hate, again, would be those conflict situations. You have the same old grievances with the same old people, especially in families or workplaces. And the next time the person comes and pushes the same button that they normally push, you can say, no thanks, I think I'll sit this one out. Again, it's that responding with a smile, responding without that pushback, responding with the open hand instead of with the fist.